The worst feeling is recording a whole video, realizing that your mic was completely off, and also that you didn't hit record. So it was like a double L. So like not only was I not recording, but I also wasn't recording my voice even if I was recording. So now that we have this fixed, I'm gonna play this track. Basically, what I did was I made Christmasbass, which is a mix of Christmas music with future bass. For lack for a better name, Christmasbass. I'm gonna play the song for you, and then we're gonna go over how I made it using basically just one sample. And it only took me about an hour to make. So this is the song. We'll play it real quick, and then after that, I'll show you how I made it. So let's do this. Let's from the top. Let's record this again. Very simple idea there. So yeah, I don't have much to say. I'll go get into the production in a second here. But first, I want to show you the sample I used. So this is a completely free sample I found online just from a random free samples website, and this is what it sounds like. All right, very cool. This is what it sounds like when I add in all of my effects for the sample. And all I'm adding there is I'm adding a fresh air, which improves the kind of, just a little bright sparkly bits of the sound. It sounds really nice. And then I added an OTT because it's OTT, we gotta add it. For the parametric EQ, I just felt like there was some harshness going on there, so I kind of ducked it down. And then I just kind of boosted random things for some reason, I guess. I added a little chorus to it, just a little bit. A bass line, I turned that off, I'm not using that. And then another parametric EQ. Again, boosting the bass. Not really sure why. And then I have a ROM, which is just boosting the reverb, just making it kind of have very airy, very cool sound. So yeah, that's just kind of filling up space there. So next, let's check out what's going on here. So I'm actually automating a lot of these effects on the sound and on the track to make it more dynamic and more interesting. A few examples of that is my Fruity Convolver automation here. That's on my master, and what that does is it's a pink. It's called the pink preset on Fruity Convolver, and what it does is it kind of like washes out, and then here, let me just play it actually. Let's play this, and then I'll show you without. So you can hear the difference. It's like it's fully washed out reverb. It's a very cool effect, and I use it in almost every single one of my tracks. I really like the way it sounds. So where was I? I messed up this. Okay, there we go. Then I have a master stereo separation. So this basically what this does is it makes it more mono as right before it hits the chorus. And what this does is it kind of focuses your attention. Like it just keeps getting more mono, and then it goes back. And then it like opens up at the drop. So that's kind of the idea. I really like the way that sounds. And then I do the exact same thing with the master volume as well. So the master volume goes down, the mono goes up, so that you hear less stereo information right before the chorus, and it gets quieter too. And then once the chorus hits, or the drop or whatever, then it boosts up in volume by like 2 dB, 3 dB, and then the master stereo goes all the way to wide, and it just like has this kind of like explosive feeling to it. And that works for like literally any song. So I use it on every song, even songs that aren't EDM. I do this too because it just makes the chorus so much more impactful, and nobody's gonna notice like a 1 to 2 or to 3 dB difference in their like verse. Like when people are just listening, like, oh yeah, yeah, and they just kind of listen for like a minute and a half or whatever. They have no idea that it got quiet. Like they're not turning up their volume as the song's going to like counterbalance you making it quieter because it's so subtle. But it's like more of a subconscious thing. But then once it actually hits, it's really cool. Another thing is that I have just a very simple sample here, and it's just a little drum loop that sounds Christmassy and very chill. Again, just trying to find that kind of vintage feel, you know, that kind of sounds like Christmas music. Has a kind of tape distortion, kind of like radio sounds in the background. Very Christmassy to me. And then also the classic sleigh bell, whatever that sound is called. It sounds Christmassy. So I have all that together. It sounds like this. Oh, and I forgot to mention. So one of the artistic choices I made for the song was using patcher in a way that's not supposed to be used. So in the beginning of the song, you notice it sounds sort of weird. It sounds like it's almost on a radio or something. It's like, oh, this is interesting. Why does it sound like that? Well, I'm actually using Patcher in an automation here, which is supposed to be used to inspect your mix on different platforms. So if I'm sitting with my headphones here and I want to know what it sounds like in my car, well, instead of exporting it and then running down to my car to see what it sounds like, which is probably a better way of doing this anyways, I could just go to the car preset and then listen to it like this. Well, what I did is I actually put the inspector on a small speaker because I imagine that if you're at someone's house listening to Christmas music, they might have like a small speaker just playing Christmas music, whether that's like an Alexa or something. So I set it to that preset, kind of thinking like, oh, this would be kind of like you're listening to Christmas music at somebody's house, and then it sort of opens up like into this cool thing. So that was like not a production technique, but it was an artistic choice that I made. And you want to maximize the artistic choices that you're making in your song, that like intentional decisions that you're like, I want to do this because it reminds me of this, or like I want to do this to like get this certain idea or fit the story or like fit something that you're trying to do. The more of those decisions you make, the listener may not know consciously what you're doing, but subconsciously they'll get the feeling that it's all cohesive and it's working together. And that's really what you want to be doing with your music if you want to be a successful producer, because basically there's two different kinds of artists. Is one who is trying to build like a world almost with their music, and you can hear it, and that's all the type of artists that you hear that are really famous and popular. They do this with their music, and it's like the one common pattern I see through almost all top tier producers is they're trying to build like a world, or they're trying to express an idea or emotion through their music. And the artists that don't make it big, they might still make great music, they might still have great melodies, they might have a few hits where that has just this really catchy song, but they don't have that extra thing that's holding together their music. They don't have that thing that's going to bring people into their world, because they're not world building, they're just kind of making songs, and those are two different things. And so if you're able to do that, if you're able to build a story, you're actually going to build people who are understanding what you're doing. And even if they can't explain it to you, that's really like this like kind of hidden layer to music, which I think is so important. If you want to know people that I think that do this amazingly well, would be probably like up there would be like Madion. Well, and the electronic music producer, I'd say like Porter Robinson, Madion. They do a fantastic job of world building. Other producers like Pink Floyd, like obviously like those the Beatles. Like there's just, if you just look at like the top producers and just look at that, you'll see that that's a commonality between all of them. But anyways, huge tangent. But let's go to Paramount KQ. What is this doing? I think that this is. Oh, you know what? Is this lowering? I actually have no idea what that's doing, but that's okay. Let's see here. I have a little shaker loop that just sounds Christmassy as well, and just automating that volume to come in, blah, blah, blah. Okay, very simple intro. Let's go to the drop. You might be wondering, Tristan, how in the world did you make a drop using this choir sample? Well, let me show you. So right here, I'm just gonna go to one of the choir samples that's, let's go to, oh wait, that's the one that's on. I want to go to one that's not necessarily doing anything right now. Is this the one, part one? That's major two. Okay, so I can mess around with this one. Perfect. So right here, the first thing I did for my drop is I went to this little icon. I clicked chop. I know you guys can't see this menu, but you can test this out. So top left corner of your samples, click that. It'll pop a menu. I went to chop. It's in the bottom left hand corner, and then I go to different. There's different ways that you can chop it up. I went to complex, I think, and I went to triplet sequence. And once I did that, it chopped it up like this. And then I took it and I just selected it and then pulled it. Oh wait, whoops. There's a one tiny one selected here, and that's why it's not working. It's one tiny little. Okay, there we go. Now when I select all these and make them shorter, this is what I did. So I did that, and then I put it on declicking mode, and I went to generic or smooth, either one. It depends on the song. I don't know if I use that exact chop mode, but when I came back over here, I basically did that twice. So I have one of them that's the low one, and then I have the high version. And then I have a balance, which basically just automates the volume and makes it more like kind of whooshy. And if I take away that balance, and you can, I also have like this, what's it called, a little sidechain. So I have a sidechain, I have the little LFO whooshy thingy, and then I also have a volume automation, which it kind of like, and then it like starts really low. It's like and then like kind of brings back that energy. Again, these are all artistic decisions I'm making, not producer decisions. So, and I don't really know the best way of describing how to differentiate those. It's more like a feeling. It's more like something that you just do, and like the more you produce, and the more you develop your artistic side of artistic choices, then you start to get the sense of like when you're making decisions and that are all like artistically based, or if you're just like turning knobs, you don't really know why you're doing it, and you just do it because it sounds good. That's not really the same thing. I'll have to think about this more and make a video about how the difference between artistic and producer decisions. That's a separate video, I think. But again, this is another one of those. So let's go here. What is this? This is my river automation. Very loud. So I just like the first hit is dry and the rest of it's washed out. And the effect that you get with this is that once you put all these automations together, the sidechain, the LFO, you get. I have also this resonator right here, which is actually putting an extra resonance onto the sound. You hear that? You hear that? You have to listen so carefully. All right, listen again. You hear that? Let me take it out. Listen again. You hear that extra note? That's like, I can't even make that sound, but yes, that adds so much to the melody. I don't even know how to describe to you. When I added that, it like made it interesting. Okay, I don't know how else to explain it, but this little tiny difference, literally all it's doing. Let's go to the thing. Where's it at? Resonator right here. It just goes up one note and it goes back. Without that resonator, it doesn't. I can't describe it. That's all it's doing though. Okay, I'll go over the effects for this in a second, but I need to make sure I have everything here. So I think that's it. Oh yeah, right here as well. Okay, so this is the balance of what's it called? It's the mix level of this balance, this LFO right here. So this LFO is getting kind of weaker. Like you could almost imagine like these are getting lower down as it goes over time. That's like the best way I could describe what this automation is doing right here. And it does it so that like, the reason I did that is because it's very choppy in the beginning, but then as it keeps going, like, sorry, I'm so bad at explaining why I make these decisions. I knew it'd sound good. That's ultimately why I did it. But it adds just another thing that's changing throughout the song, which makes it interesting to listen to. And I think that if you just keep it the same, it's not bad, but it doesn't have the same feeling as when you take it away slowly. I like how this is going to take me longer to explain than it actually did for me to make it. It's pretty funny. Okay, so let's check out what's going on with the bass. So the bass is like kind of interesting. And it's interesting because it's really simple actually. So I just have a release envelope, which means that it has like a lot of release for that first hit and then 0 release for everything else. And then literally all the bass is doing, excuse me, it's from my Nitro Turbo Bass. And I'm just automating this preset here. Whoops. just has a tiny bit of chorus, tiny bit of distortion, tiny bit of EQ, taking out the highs and compression. And then, yeah, it's really not too complicated. There's not too much going on with that bass. On the preset for it, I have what is it doing? I have a Fruity Blood Overdrive. I literally just open this up and then it just adds a little distortion. Another EQ, just making some changes. Bass lane, widening the bass to make it interesting. Sound Goodizer to make it sound good. And then Fruity Balance to do the what's it called, the sidechain. So again, really not too complicated. I feel like it's weird because I say it's not too complicated, and then I know other people can't make these types of sounds. But to me, it's so easy. Like there's really not that much going on. I feel like if you almost by chance, if you just start putting stuff, you can get a sound similar to this, but like over time, like it doesn't seem. I mean, I guess my thought process here is like I want to compress it, I want to add distortion, and then I want to sidechain that distortion, or I want to sidechain the whole sound to the drums. So I'm basically just like increasingly making it fatter and then just sidechaining all of it. That's kind of my thought process there, I suppose. And just simple things like not putting reverb on your bass, or just like not putting too much chorus on your bass, or not making your bass too wide, or just simple things like that. I guess could help, but I feel like this is kind of common knowledge. With the drums, I just literally used a drum loop. Again, it was a 1 hour challenge, so I try to keep it quick with my ideas. So this is what it sounds like. I should probably go to the effects for this a vocal. Okay, so what's going on here? I basically have the high and the low separated, and they're going to one mixer chain, which is going to the master. So this would be the low. Well, actually, the high mix is just widened. It's just widened like that, and then I have that going into the low. So when I say high and low, I mean this high right here going into the low. So that's what I'm talking about. So I have the high one is wide going into the low mixer track, which it has ROM, which some reverb. And then I'm automating neither of these. I'm not using either of them. Transfire, I don't think that's doing anything. Resonance, very subtle, very good though. And there's some basic EQing. Then that goes to this master mixer right here, which has fresh air on it, which just, again, makes it the highs more prominent. OTT, which is OTT, have to add it. Fruity parametric EQ, which just kind of makes some basic changes here just to make it sound good. Very subtle chorus, a little bit of bass line just to kind of widen that out too. An EQ cutting out all the lows. Another ROM, which gets automated, of course. Then Fruity Balance, which is doing the sidechain. Oh wait, no, that's a different Fruity Balance. That's the LFO one. And then after the LFO, I use Camel Crusher, which then compresses the LFO to make it sound like even better. And then I sidechain it at the very end. So sidechain always goes at the end. Okay, so that's what I got going on. So when I play this all together, this is what it sounds like. And then on my master, I just have a Fruity Balance turning down the whole volume of the track, and then I put more effects, so it's not going through distortion. I have another fresh air. I have an OTT. Did I show you guys this? Yeah, I have just a basic EQ on the whole song just to make it kind of shape it for the specific song. Then I have a patcher, which is just an Oxford inflator by Frank Pull. Love the guy. And then finally, a soft clipper, which is my limiter, since I don't have a limiter right now. So that is literally all that's going on. It's very simple. So I just took the sample, I chopped it up, I added effects to make it more compressed. Then I there was like some little subtle things, like I move these around and I move these around so that it wasn't making clicks. Like if I don't have those, it'll be making clicks. And then I matched the bass with my vocal so that it kind of played at the same time. I feel like it could also be cool if you did something like this. It might be too crazy though. That's kind of cool actually. That might be too much. Anyways, there's all kinds of different things I could have kept going with more time, but yeah, what else? Oh, I should probably explain my percussion and stuff. Okay, so let's go here. Again, just because the 1 hour challenge, just using drum loops to speed up the process, I got a top loop here, which I have going through Pancake. So Pancake it just makes it go left and right, and it sounds really good. You can hear it go back and forth through the headphones, panning, and if I take it off, boring. Sounds way more interesting. So just adding that panning to kind of keep the stereo image really cool. Reintroducing these sounds just to kind of bring it back familiarity to the intro. And it brings you back to the intro, which kind of ties it all together into one thing. And then my final part here was, I love this part. Basically, I use a Grosby on the vocal right here. I turn that on, okay, and then I turn on a reverb. And then when I play this, Grosby, it's halftime. It's I don't know how to explain it. Just look up halftime and you'll see it. It's really popular in hip hop. But it makes it go an octave lower and then like plays, I don't even know how to describe it. It like plays it almost half as fast, but it's not half as fast. It's not like just slowing it down. It does another effect. It's just called halftime. That's all I can tell you. So I put this on halftime, the vocal, and I have the bass playing normally, and then I took out the last 3 bass notes right here to add more of like a pause. And then I take off the halftime right when it takes out the bass. So it and then on this time, the second time, I add back in the radio sound, which takes it all the way back to the beginning of the song. So just another thing. It's like progressively going back and forth and building to like make this one song. Okay, what else do I add? Oh yeah, this is one problem with Grosby is that if you pause and play, sometimes it like gets mixed up and it doesn't go properly. You always have to play from like a specific beat. So I have to play it from like right here. But if I start from like here, see how it didn't work, but if I play it here, now it's actually playing. I don't know why it does that. Please fix FL Studio. I don't know. It's been doing that for like 4 years. Is there anything else I could possibly explain to you guys? I showed you my master chain. I showed you the sound design. I showed you how you could take a sample and turn it into something for a drop. I went over every automation. I went over every sample. I went over every process, I think. Is there anything else that I did not show? Just make sure you're taking out low end from instruments that don't need low end, and taking out high end from instruments that don't need high end. I thought that this was the highlight of my track, was these 2 sounds playing in the drop. So likewise, I had those being the most prominent high end in my track, so it has the most focus. If I had these tambourines and hi-hats with tons of high end competing for space with my, whatever it's called, my vocal, then it wouldn't shine as much. So you want to be EQing to emphasize different areas of your song, and that'll be the best way of doing that. So I hope you guys enjoyed. I don't think I missed anything with this. Tell me what you think of Christmasbass, and I hope that you guys have a holly jolly holidays. See you later. Peace.